Welcome back to Policing TV. I'm in this third video with Gavin Stephens, QPM, the chair of the National Police Chiefs Council here in England and Wales. We're going to be hearing this time about the policing landscape here in England and Wales and what would make more sense potentially. So let's start with a whistle-stop tour. What does England and Wales policing look like? I lapsed into UK policing, so we might want to touch on that. And then let's move into what it might more sensibly look like.
Well, I think as we touched in an earlier video, fundamentally the design here across England and Wales dates to 15 years after the end of the Second World War. It's a long time to have one particular model, and of course it's great for some things. It's really strong on local connection, on the importance of listening to local priorities and having local leaders who are well tuned into that. But as the pace of technology accelerates, as the range of criminal threats change, we need to be much more consistent in the way that we're able to respond to those. And at the moment, many of the services that are provided nationally are hosted in a whole range of different ways, not as well coordinated as they could be. So I think the time is right for us to have some reform in the system.
So ideally, like to see the UK, or rather the England and Wales policing landscape move to. And what do you think's achievable? So the sort of the big opportunity. But what more reasonably might be possible?
Well, and maybe I'll sort of illustrate this as to why it's important for us to do this, because I don't think it's tenable anymore that if you're a victim of a certain crime type in one force area, that you're going to have the chances of your crime being investigated properly and detected in another, just because that force has got better available technology.
Sometimes abbreviated as the postcode lottery.
There's a postcode lottery. So, I think where we've got good technology innovations that are proven to work, have got a kite mark, if you like, then there should be wide-scale adoption of those in order to keep people safe and in order to bring offenders to justice. And moreover, we can no longer afford to do it in the same way that we currently do it. We do a financial resilience survey every year, along with the Home Office, our government department here, and what that shows is that there's quite a big shortfall in forces feeling financially secure year on year. They're having to find savings. So we need to make sure that we're spending the money more wisely, and that's as not everybody trying to solve the same problems. So I think stronger national coordination, certainly, and when we look internationally, we see many examples of where that's been done in other jurisdictions, that stronger national coordination. Inevitably, that means that not everybody can have a say in those decisions. Sometimes some things are just going to be, have to be called out and said, no, that's how we're all going to do it.
So on that point, the 43 forces, 43 chief constables or commissioners, then the overlay of the mayors and or police and crime commissioners who are providing the governance, plus many interest groups. So instinctively, you might have 100 plus stakeholders who need to take a unanimous decision in order to move in a certain direction.
Well, I can be very specific. We operate under a legal agreement that has 103 signatories on it. So, and that's my job, to negotiate with 103 signatories to try and reach consensus.
And so, with one of the, there may not be a majority vote on that. There's everybody.
Now, there's some real strengths to that system in that it does make people feel involved. They've got agency in it, and of course, that very local connection is really, really important. But there are some things where it's no longer sensible for us all to do our different things. So we've talked about technology, but there are others. The long-term future financial picture, negotiations on national financial strategy, negotiations with Home Office and Treasury on spending settlements, long-term workforce planning, having a 10-year workforce plan about what are the skills that we need for the future. Not all colleagues need to be trying to solve this problem. We can solve it once for everybody. If you wanted to be even more specific in that, how the pension provisions are sorted out. So there are many examples, and there are some operational examples as well across UK policing where services have been set up and they've not become stable because we just can't get agreement on them. So I think having different arrangements in governance and decision making in the provision of national services in the long run will help everybody.
So you referred to 103 legal signatories. So does that imply that there needs to be some sort of legal change in order to realign some of those elements?
Well, I mean, any legal change is a matter for government and parliamentary debate. So who knows what will come through some of those discussions. There are some existing powers that we could perhaps make more use of. So our College of Policing can set regulations. We'll look closely at whether the use of more regulatory powers will help. Our National Crime Agency has got tasking powers, which might be appropriate, and of course the Home Secretary's got powers in law as well that will help with this. I mean, ultimately, there's a challenge to all of us that can we do some of this by consensus? But I think in the years ahead, we'll probably need to look at some of the international examples and say, actually, there are ways of organising this that will just service us all better.
So that sounds achievable, and actually quite transformative as well.
Yeah, I think it is achievable, providing you have a vision for what you want to get to. So I don't think there's any point in thinking about how you create new national capabilities unless you've got a real strong view about what you want a new organisation to do. What's its purpose. We've talked in broad terms about having a stronger set of strategic capabilities at the centre, maybe on workforce and finance and data, and a stronger set of enabling capabilities, so those sort of support services that you might need, whether it's procurement or technology development, and then some operational services as well. I mean, here in National Police Chiefs Council we already provide some operational services. Some are hosted under local collaboration agreements, but I think if you brought some of these national operational services together, you would get some efficiencies from doing so.
Now, you'll correct me on the detail here, but my recollection is that you're about a year and a half into your chair of the National Police Chiefs Council. You're elected by
the membership
of the National Police Chiefs Council, broadly chief constables and senior officers. What do you hope to have achieved by the time that you come up to either to put yourself forward for re-election or rather to bow out gracefully and pass over the reins to somebody else? What is there really that you want to be able to look back on and think, got that through? Well,
I mean, I negotiated this with colleagues as part of the sort of manifesto for standing for election, and there's a little group that sort of.
So you've got their commitment already.
I've got that commitment already. Yeah. So, and it was around reform of policing. It was around getting a better financial deal for policing. It was around having a longer term workforce strategy for the future. So these were sort of objectives that colleagues set out for me in this role. There's no prospect of re-election because that's not allowed. So I do the term of office with a little review in the middle. And I think the other thing to remember is that National Police Chiefs Council is a relatively young organisation. It came after the transition from the Association of Chief Police Officers, and there's been 3 office holders since then, and what it looks like now is completely different to what it looked like when it was set up, and I'm pretty sure that what it looks like when I leave office will be completely different again. So it's growing in responsibilities and the range of services that we provide. Back to the discussion on reform, that I'm pretty sure it'll look different.
So you're on target to deliver what your NPCC electorate signed up for?
Yeah, well they'll let me know that or not.
Okay, well look, that seems to be a very good point at which to wrap up this series of conversations. Gavin Stephens, QPM, National Police Chiefs Council Chair, thank you again very much for your time.
My pleasure.